Okay, everyone. So, welcome to Carida Cast, episode 4. Did I do 3? It said episode 3 on the notes, but it's actually episode 4.
I think we're on 4 now.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna change it in the notes so we don't. So I'm just as a reminder to everyone, this is an unofficial podcast about Garrison Carida. We take care of the Eastern PA, and I'm here with Colin. TK 97670.
That's me.
And I'm TK 5351. Mike. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm Mike. TK. And we're here. We have a special guest, Kaden from Rebel Cause. Kaden, if you want to introduce yourself.
How's it going, everybody? Like Mike said, I'm Kaden from Rebel Cause Lancaster. We're a group of Star Wars fans dedicated to uniting the fandom and doing good in our community.
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, a special treat for you today. You get to hear 3 different voices instead of just 2.
Correct. And we're going to talk about the Academy, so we do have Kaden on for a reason. We'll get to that.
Yes, we will. What do we have on first?
Okay, so we were light on Star Wars news, but we do have the Han movie coming out.
Coming out soon. Of course, we got to push through Infinity War first, but,
That's a different podcast.
That's not a difficult push.
Now, have you two got to sit in the Han Solo display at the movie theater yet?
No, not yet. Which one? Penn Cinema?
Yeah, the Penn Cinema.
No, I
haven't
haven't been out there.
I have not been out yet, and I might just have to go just to do that.
I know. We went and saw, I think, Black Panther for like the 5th time, and I went and sat in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. That makes me just want to get a job in a movie theater. Somehow you can just beg your boss for like months to have that display.
I'll tell you what we need to do is start bugging them now that we want it after they're done with it.
Yeah, I think the owner, because when we did the Force Awakens troop, we kind of bugged him. We said, hey, we'd like to troop the last showing. Did you go to that?
I didn't go to that.
Oh, so it was like an unofficial troop. We said we'll pay for our seats and all that. Well, he came and talked to us and was saying how much he loves Star Wars and stuff like that. So I'm sure that's probably already like, okay, it's going to be in my office.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, that's all. He's a super nice guy. Every time like a Star Wars movie's happening, we're there at the premiere. He always comes in the theater and everybody enjoy it, all that. So
yeah, so I mean the Han, I wasn't excited about the Han movie, and now I'm getting more excited.
That's the boat I was into. I was just seeing it for a while as like, a moneymaker, Disney's next moneymaker. I really didn't need much of a Han Solo movie, but the trailers have started to sway me. It looks like it's going to be a good movie, even if just looking at it as a standalone movie, I might have to push the idea of, old classic Harrison Ford out of my head to see this, but from what I've been hearing, it sounds like we're going to get some really, really cool, like, Chewbacca and Lando interactions.
Yeah.
Which, might be worth admission price.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I initially was kind of like, man, out of all the characters, like, Han Solo kind of feels like he's wrapped up.
Correct.
But I guess we do not know, his origin story really. And I think one of the main themes that we're going to see in this movie, or not main themes rather, but things that we're going to be like, oh, wow, that's why those two characters got along so well, is Han Solo's like comparison to Finn.
Right.
I think we're going to get a lot of that because that's why, Han took to him so quickly because they were both defectors.
Right.
Right.
Well, and I took the tone of that one officer that was talking to Han when he's talking about wanting to join the Imperial Navy or whatever. And I don't know why I took this. I have no reason. But it almost sounded to me like Han was like some rich kid and he was signing up like almost out of obligation. Like it sounded patronizing the way the guy was talking to him. I don't know if I could be totally reading that into me, but I almost took it as like, and then when that girl says something like she knows who he is, like I'm curious if the Han Solo story, the cool is more of something he made up, like he was kind of like a
He started off as a computer geek or something like that.
or that's just I don't know why that came into my head, but that came into my head. And the racing cars, when I was a kid, we had a junk Ford Falcon in the backyard, And those back of that car looks like the Ford Falcon. I thought, oh wow, and he drives a Millennium Falcon. I don't know why. That's the two things I took from that trailer.
I think I remember initially when like Kathleen Kennedy released a statement or something about it.
Right.
She's like, we're gonna find out how Han Solo got his name. Mm-hmm. And I remember a lot of people were like, they better not literally mean like that Han Solo is a made up name.
Yeah.
And obviously not. I think people freak out a little too much. But I think the point is he was literally nothing. He's a little dirty street kid. And I think we'll see Kira and Han together as younger kids, like in that little escape scene where they're running from the trooper. And, that's kind of like a flashback. And, when they meet again, he's trying to put on this different persona, like, I'm Han Solo. He tries to put swagger on. And you'll kind of realize that, okay, Han Solo as Han Solo, like the cool swagger Han Solo we know, that's not really Han. I mean, we got that through the original trilogy. He's a goofball. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, I'm excited about the movie. And then Marty's excited because he wants to redo his Chewie again.
There you go.
Have you seen Marty's Chewbacca yet?
I've seen it. But I actually just saw a picture of you today, I think, standing next to him.
Yeah, that's Marty's Chewie. I mean, there's yeah, we have to get him to one of your events.
That'd be fantastic.
But he's selling his other Chewie mask. Marty's Chewies are... I love Marty's Chewies.
Just the mask?
Just a mask. Yeah. I think he's on his 5th mask. Like, he's a perfectionist when it comes to... And his stuff looks so good.
It shows.
Yeah. So shout out to Marty, member of the 501st. I think he was the first Wookiee in the 501st. He did the Chewbacca bounty hunter.
That's awesome.
From... what is it?
Shadows of the
Empire. And he was the first Wookiee in the 501st.
That's really cool.
So he is. I mean, if you look up Marty, I think it's still on his profile. I don't know. That's how they get Wookiees.
I'm gonna have to check.
All right, so that's our Han Solo news.
I guess we found more to talk about with Han than we.
Yeah, I was just going to say, hey, Han movie's coming out, and we're trooping it. We should. I mean, since it is the Carida Cast, we should talk. We're going to be trooping. Actually, I probably have it on the list in the show notes. I will list it real quick for those that are in a hurry. We're going to be, I know, in case they're like, I got to listen to this podcast before I go into work. Do I have it? Yeah, oh no, I only have us up to Free Comic Book Day. But we're going to be at Penn Cinema. We're going to be Exton and Reading, I believe, Allentown.
Is there one in Harrisburg too?
Harrisburg,
I feel like there's one towards Harrisburg, but
and we're doing a drive-in up in Allentown. They want to do a drive-in.
Oh, I might have to do that one.
I know. I don't know if I feel like driving to Allentown and have to go to work the next day, but I might. Oh no, is that Memorial Day weekend? So I don't want to have to work the next day. I might have to troop. I might have to troop a drive-in.
Yeah, road trip.
So
the cool thing about the Han Solo movie coming out on the 25th is not only that's the original Star Wars release date,
right?
But it's my birthday. So
oh man, that's like double. That's like a double. I remember you talking about that on your podcast.
I'm sure Disney was planning that to happen on
purpose.
purpose.
You should probably write them. There's probably like some special... Were you born in 77? No.
No.
Okay. I didn't think you were that old. But, I mean, I think I'm surprised at how much I'm excited for the Han Solo movie now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
I'll at least get some cool screenshots when it comes out on digital, and I can make that the background of my computer.
I want the armor of that bounty hunter.
Oh,
so when I get my 14 other projects that I'm still halfway done, when I get those done, I want that bounty hunter.
You'll hit the young age of 85.
Yeah.
Then finally be able to do.
I got 3 Sabines that have to be done before Memorial Day. So.
Last question about about the Han Solo movie. Would you guys be over or under 50% Boba Fett in the movie, even as a cameo?
Like, what do we think the odds are? Do we think there's a chance of that, or are we for or against that?
Well, do you think it's going to happen?
I think we'll see a cameo.
I don't think we're going to see him. I think it's going to be a thing in passing.
Yeah.
Like the way it was in Rogue One, where they were sifting through the files on the deaths, the Scarab computer, like, Project Darksaber, Project Hyperspace Tracking, and then I think that we're going to get something similar to that. They'll be like in a cantina, and there will be somebody talking about, yo, did you hear about this guy Boba Fett or whatever?
Right.
You know, he took down like 6 or 8 targets or whatever in one. They'll give some statistic about how awesome he is, but we're not actually going to see him work.
It could be in the employee lounge Jabba's. Like, Han could be getting his coffee before he goes on a run, and Boba Fett could be dragging in some bounties, you know.
That's the big rumor I've heard, is that Jabba will definitely be in the movie.
Oh, I believe it.
Which I would believe, and I could see, Boba Fett kind of lingering in the background.
Yeah.
Not a major role, but like, hey, that's Boba Fett, and there's a reason Han's scared of him,
Well, and that's what it could be. It could be one of those scenes like Han gets there early and sees the remnants of Boba Fett dealing with someone. You know what I mean? Like Boba Fett getting his bounty, like dropping off some some corpses or some dust or something. So I hope that he's not like Han Solo's nemesis.
I guarantee you there will be a disintegrations.
Yeah, there has to be. There has to be. There has to be. So yeah, it'd be silly if they didn't put some kind of Boba Fett. Because I think I think Star Wars fans love more than anything is pointing out to the not so big fan a little background thing in the movie. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Like more than any, they don't care about science fiction and science actually working, but they can say, like, I remember as a kid saying to my grandmother, "That's Snaggletooth," even though that wasn't his real name, but that's what the action figure was. I felt like an expert. So I think because look, remember when we were all at Maz's castle? How many times I rewatched that to see all the flags? Like there's
the 501st
flag
right
top left. Yeah.
Which they even have in the Lego Star Wars Force Awakens game too. I think. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I was able to find that every time I got to that level.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
All right, so that's our Han Solo prediction, which actually, on another show we gotta talk about. Are we going to do a Han Solo recap like we did The Last Jedi at the Knight's Diner?
Oh, yeah, man. We have to. It's tradition now.
Yeah. That
was fun. That was a ton of fun.
So, I don't know. That's something we gotta work out the logistics of that. Because I can't use
And I'll tell you what, I got to bring my dad next time because I apparently didn't record anything that night.
Oh, really? Do you need my recording?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. I'll because that recorder of mine picked up a lot of stuff. I'm sorry. We're veering off of the Carida Cast.
No, you're good.
I'll get you that.
Back on topic. Stay on target.
Yeah. I'll get you that recording. It's somewhere on an SD card floating around here. All right. So let's see. Oh, Last Jedi DVD. Did you get your DVDs?
I didn't, but I think I'm getting it soon.
We were supposed to go Wednesday, but Zoe had too much homework, so our tradition since The Force Awakens is to go in costume. So the girls will go in costume. I'll go in early and just film them. They'll just walk through the checkout as Sabine and Tusken. And
I think my parents are getting it for me, but they've been doing that thing where they're like trying not to tell me, but it's very obvious that they are, and so I'm like, I don't want to go get it for myself, out of fear that
ruin it for them.
They've already gotten me 2 or 3 copies because that's happened. Especially with pop vinyls. I have so many duplicate pop vinyls, but...
Yeah. You could always donate them to Rebel Cause.
There you go, man.
Or do what I did and do repaints, so I have different colored, alternate costumes of...
I'm not brave enough to paint those. Did you get yours yet, Kaden?
I did, man. And, I got it, Tuesday? Actually... I left work because I was a little sick. I ran to grab some cough medicine. And, it's a coincidence that Star Wars was for sale that day.
That's good.
I picked it up.
Where'd you get, which one? Which version?
Target.
Okay.
I got the Target. And I got to go home that night and cry in privacy of my own home.
Nice.
So that's awesome. There's still a couple parts in that movie, man, that I just...
Every time, right?
Yeah.
Every time.
Admiral Holdo warp crashing into the Star Destroyer. That's what does it for me. The Super Star Destroyer, I guess that is. Ultra? No, because there are supers. So what?
Yeah, I don't know what that. Well,
That wasn't a dreadnought. The dreadnought had the cool giant cannons on the bottom. Whatever Snoke's flagship, I guess.
see, if I was them, I would just build all dreadnoughts.
Right? Why waste the money on the big giant triangle when you could just have a fleet of the really, really powerful ships?
Yeah.
And TIE fighters
I would
defend them.
I'm sorry. What did you say? I'm sorry, Caden.
No, I said I would totally go for the giant triangle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know that's and this is the one thing I think that people miss about The Last Jedi, and I know it happens right after Force Awakens, but I think they forget at the end of Force Awakens, a little bit of time passed before the movie ended. You know, because they got back. It wasn't like they got back from Star Killer Base and Rey left right away. Like I think they had that symbolism of like.
Time to take a shower, pack your bags, and get ready to go.
Yeah, but also it seemed like it almost, when she was sitting there with Finn, it seemed like she was almost waiting, so she must have waited a little while to see if he was okay. Princess Leia was all dressed different. You know what I mean? So it does seem like time had passed.
Probably a few days.
Yeah, and that's what I think. And that's where like the Holdo thing. I know there's some. The Holdo reminds me of that storyline in Battlestar Galactica when all the leaders got killed, and it came up to be like the Secretary of Education had to be the leader. So it's like Holdo wasn't in military garb because she was probably just like, I just always assumed she was more like a retired like statesperson, and then she kind of got, look, they're blowing up my base. She didn't have time to pack and change,
Yeah. Well, she is force sensitive now.
Oh, really? Was that in a book?
I think there was I think Laura Dern said it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, every other person in Star Wars is force sensitive anyway. So
Force is in everything. So technically, everybody is force sensitive.
There you go.
Before the idea of. Sorry, go ahead.
R5D4 was force sensitive in Legends. So
yeah. Well, that's a whole nother podcast of the if droids are alive or not.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
All right. So I think that's it for our large Star Wars news. So the only 501st news, I was lazy and I still meant to get all the new officers that were elected, and I've been too busy with all the other stuff we have to do for our garrison. But I did look up, as of the 28th, we have 12,594 members with 23,000.
Internationally.
In the entire world. So if we all got together, and that's 23,863 costumes. Which I want to get the numbers of our garrison, because most of the people, you and me, are the rare. Like, we have one.
Yeah.
Most people are like, I got like 6 costumes. So, I mean.
Or if you've got a TIE pilot, then you've got 30 costumes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So Caden, if you do a TIE pilot, you can have like 30 costumes.
Oh, there you go. Why is it pretty interchangeable?
Yeah, there's a whole.
There are different levels. So you have like a reserve pilot, which doesn't have any of the armor or the helmet on. You have like the pilot that has the armor, but like no tubes or something like that.
Oh yeah, Empire. Return of the Jedi also is different than New Hope.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then you have you have some kind of crew member. There's like, you can make those interchangeable. Again, I don't like my face being shown, so I don't think you'll ever see me in a face.
We're too ugly to show our faces at troops. That's why we got the buckets.
Right. Well, also, then they don't know some old math teacher is the stormtrooper. That's not nearly as exciting as, let's go get our picture taken with the old math teacher. So, even my students treat me different. Like when we've done events at my school, like we do a Halloween event, and students who won't give me the time of day, they know I'm in the costume. They're dying to get pictures with me. It's funny. It's remarkable how they are. So, but so
you're not Mr. Mike then, or Mr. Hinton then. You're a stormtrooper. Man.
Right. Yeah, it's funny, and it's just funny. So before we get on to, I'm gonna just change the order of our thing, because then so Caden I'd like you to give a little more information, but not your plug, but just a little more information about what you do. But real quick, we, as far as I know, for our members, our bash I think is going to be in Lancaster. I don't know if they've officially, so I'm unofficially saying, That's I'll probably get in trouble. No, as a member, we do a bash every year, and it's to help raise money for the academy, and it helps the academy help the people make their costumes, and that's why we have Kaden on. So I just want to let people know the bash is still planning. I've been to 4 bashes, I guess. I missed as a new member when I first started. I kind of just like put blinders on and missed out on some of the stuff that was going on. I was just like, well, I'm just going to troop. And so I would say to all the members, like, just you've been to bash, right?
I went to the only one I've been to was last year.
Yeah,
so
and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
And you can go home with armor.
I did not.
I'm going to have to crash the bash.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you should.
So I won the raffle last year and won TK armor.
Yeah, you did.
So,
what? Still salty about that one.
Yeah, I have an extra TK kit in the basement that I won. So that's Safi's claimed that. So.
Oh man.
That's yeah. So it was help raise money. Roddy does a really good job. He's our GML. He's in charge of that. We've been the academy that Carida has we started it. Like there was no other garrison that had one. So it used to be in the olden days you signed up and they pointed you to some websites and said, here, buy this, and then you took pictures of it and you submitted them. Well, now what happens with the academy, I think Caden, I even sent you the link the other day, just joking around on Facebook. But you submit that in, and the thing with the academy is there's really no commitment other than they want you to check in, I think, once a month.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember off the top of my head what they're.
Yeah, it's like a regular thing. It's just they just want you to check in, and what that checking in is, and some people just check in and say, look, my car broke down, I didn't do any work, work was busy, blah blah blah, and just so they know you're interested. And then what I tell people is, then that's when you said about squiring, Caden, when you said about handlers and stuff, that's how they get the handlers. So that's where the handlers come from, the people in the academy.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect.
And then that's motivation. Like it's
in some ways it kind of helps you train to be a 501st member.
Oh yeah.
To know what to expect on troops, what to expect from the organization, and from even parts of the costuming community in general. If you don't have a whole lot of experience with that. And
it does help you with the decision of costumes.
True.
Because you definitely want to do a costume you want. We've said this before. I think we said this on the first one we did. You definitely want to do something you like, but you also have to look at some costumes you have to wear a certain way, and if you want to sit down regularly, you want to stay away from the armor,
Or if you don't like showing your face, like those of us on this side of the microphone, right. You don't want something with an open face.
Yeah. And sometimes, like, I know, like, some of the guys, we have some really nice Revens, and Caden's a big Revan fan.
Oh, yeah.
And we have some really nice Revens, but you have to be careful with Revan. You have to have thick skin because you're going to get called, especially now, you get called Kylo Ren a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, that's what I tell people, too, like, because Safi has Ketsu, and she has a Tusken, and Safi knows if we're doing a library event, she'll wear her Tusken because no one's going to know who Ketsu is. Mm-hmm. Now, if we do a convention, she'll wear Ketsu. We went to Celebration, she wore Ketsu. Mm-hmm. But she knows, you have to know your crowd, too. Like, we're in TKs, everyone knows who we are.
Everybody knows a Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Even though
I think my dream is pretty obvious. I mean, I'm 6'1". I think I'm going to have to be an R2 unit. No,
yeah, right.
I think Vader's kind of my... that's the one I'm always looking at, but I know that's probably like the most expensive one as well. So, I mean, it just kind of, my body type, I think, would do really well with a Vader. And I just think that would be awesome. And, but yeah, I don't know. Is there a lot of, I'm sure that's an expensive costume.
It's up there, but it's probably cheaper than it was. And that's one of the parts to being a cadet is we have boards where you have guys that sell their costumes. Either they get out of it or they just want to get rid of it. And sometimes they sell them too high. But there's been a couple years ago, a guy sold his whole Vader for $800. He put it up on a Friday.
Oh, man.
And I checked the board Saturday and it was sold. Because I was like, and it needed some work. It needed some sewing done to it. But, I mean, you can't even touch a helmet half the time for that. But there's a guy in our state that makes Vader helmets, which is pretty He's pretty reasonable, pretty decent.
Okay.
But that's the nice thing about the academy. So you join up, you think you want to do Vader. We got a lot of 6'2", 6'3" stormtroopers running around. You know, the nice thing about being shorter is they always stick me next to Vader.
makes Vader bigger.
Right. So like every Weird Al concert, I got to be the second right in the middle. I got sung to by Weird Al. You know, so. But I mean, if you, I would also recommend for like the guy, like if you want to do Vader and you know, the nice thing is you join up and you get to meet the guys. So guys will let you try on parts of the armor, and you see Vader's a tough one to wear. I know there's a lot of shorter guys that wear Vader, and it's harder for them. The taller you are, and at 6'1", you throw some lifts in the shoes, you could probably wear a Vader pretty easy. You know.
Yeah. That's Vader's kind of one that is always stuck out to me. I mean, he's obviously cool, you know. I'd have to say Vader, and then, I'm not sure besides Vader. That's the one that really sticks out to me. Besides like a basic like Sith kind of warrior thing, I've seen those floating around. I do like that Old Republic mask, like the Sith mask that they have, which I saw on the 501st Databank, I believe. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the CRLs, yes, the costume reference libraries.
I looked through that whole thing that night you sent it to me, and that one's really cool. And I forget the other ones. I'll have to do a little more research here soon. But
yeah, well, and then again, and I'm preaching for our academy, but the academy is one of those things, and that's what they keep people from going down the wrong path. I've seen so many people buy something on eBay, and it looks really good. You know, I've seen TKs when I was younger. Oh, that thing's perfect, and then you see it next to a 501st one, and then you see that one next to a even newer one, and it's even a little better, you know. So that's what's nice. And again, they assign you what's with our academy. They assign you an advisor, and then an advisor gets to know you. And they usually try to, like I say, if you said you want to do a Vader, I'm trying to think who's a Vader advisor we have. Craig Dunn is one.
Okay.
Yeah, and he does a Vader. So we have guys that are Vader, and then they're the ones that will help you. So
I don't remember. Can potential academy members request an advisor, or is it? Just,
I don't think they request. They no, but what they do is they try to look what the person, and they also look at, sometimes if they can, they look at geography. So they put an advisor, you know, with someone who's nearby, and Kaden has it good because I'll help anyone work on armor. He's in Lancaster, so he's like halfway between you and I. I only really know TKs and Mandalorians. I'm getting better at.
Well, it's all the same. When it comes to, especially with armor, it's all the same techniques. It's just doing it in different shapes, depending on the costume. You know, we're all still using. Well, if we're smart, we use E6000.
Yes. I use CA on my TK, on my Sandy. I use CA glue, and I wished I would have used E6000 or whatever. I wished I would have used that because I used that on my Stormtrooper.
I mean, obviously not, you know, dissing on the people who believe in CA glue, but I personally make a lot of mistakes and like to be able to revert to the starting point when I make those mistakes.
Yeah, I had the E6000 let me down at the 4th of July parade. It was so hot, my forearm from giving kids high fives, it fell apart.
Oh.
And so I spent the second half of the parade just holding my forearm together because the E6, it just got so hot it just stretched. But that sounds, you know, that's behind the curtain. So, but so Kaden, I was going to give you time and I ran right into the academy part. Tell us a little more about Rebel Cause while we're about the end of the show.
Yeah, like I said, Rebel Cause, we're a group of Star Wars fans who's dedicated to uniting the fandom and doing good in our community. And we do that by helping the local homeless. Specifically, we are partnered with the Water Street Rescue Mission. And basically, we have events like the one coming up on April 22nd at Farbo in Lancaster. You can find more information on the event on Facebook at rebelcauselancaster.com. It'll be under, it just says Rebel Cause event, April 22nd. We basically have these events where I do trivia, we have food, and play X-Wing miniatures game, and just have a great time having people all together. At the same time, though, we're raising money for local homeless. and it's just a great way. I mean, that's really what it was all about for me, was bringing people together. Because all the forums are great, online and all that, but having people in the same room as you, is just a fantastic thing. To sit there and everybody just talking about something they all love mutually, and it's a great experience. And from Rebel Cause was born the Rebel Cheddar podcast, which I do with my father, and we basically want to know your Star Wars story. So
and that's a good podcast.
Hey, thank you. Takes one to know one, man. So basically, we bring people on, and they get to tell their Star Wars story. How they got into Star Wars, what made them fall in love with it. We've had some fantastic guests. Soon we're going to have you and Zoe on, hopefully. And actually, on April 5th, we are going to have Mike Quinn, who was Nine Nub, on the show. So that's going to be pretty cool to actually talk to someone who was an actor in the movies.
That's cool.
We had Roger Christian, who designed the Skywalker lightsaber, on the show, which that was pretty interesting. Just casually dropping names. Yeah. You mean George Lucas? Oh yeah, George. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. But so yeah, that's a little bit about us. And actually, we are on the Brick City Blockade Podcast Network. So definitely check those guys out. Great group of guys. We just kind of clicked. We had the same message, and they'll be down here for the event as well. So definitely check them out as well.
Yeah, that's a good. I like it. I like that network. I'm like I said. I went to Celebration. I listened to podcasts, and I went to Celebration last year. And it seemed like when I came back, everyone was in podcast networks. I was like, did I miss a memo? Are we supposed to have podcast networks now? Because I see a lot of them springing up, and it's really cool.
My thing with podcast networks, I never really thought about being on one, and then when I specifically met Robin, shout out to Robin Vogt, we just clicked. It was kind of bizarre now how close of friends we've become, and I've never even met him in person yet. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You guys have the Lizzie and Zoe story, but grown men.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. It's still cool though. But yeah, so I actually get to meet him and James Brown from the network on April 20th, actually. So yeah, my suggestion about the whole networks thing is don't force it. If it feels right, get on a network. If it's a great community to be able to support and we all support each other, that's great. But yeah, so just tread lightly with the network thing. I lucked out. I've had a great with it, but
yeah. So I'm hoping everyone gets to try the Caden's event. It's just so everyone knows it's not like an official trooping event. We're just asking for people to go as civilians. Just the same reason why we say we're not the official podcast. It's not an official event. Now, maybe someday you guys will have official events and ask us to come. That would be awesome too.
Oh, absolutely, man. Lucas, if you're listening, Lucasfilm.
Well, no, the same page I sent you to sign up, to be in the academy. There is one where you can request us, and we don't cost money, so you just hit request, and as long as it's not a weekend and they can get some interest, they have to they're. And that's not my job. That's the PR team. They have like ball games and stuff have different criteria that we have to follow, but for charity events it's a little more open for what we can do. Like we're doing Children's Miracle Network this Monday in Hershey. We do that all the time, every year. Yeah.
See, the thing with Rebel Cause and especially the events for me is I have all these great friends in the 501st, Rebel Legion, the Mando Mercs, all that stuff. But it's kind of like, hey, you guys, every time you guys go to a Star Wars thing, you guys are in costume. Just come hang out.
Yeah, well, that's nice. That's a nice invite.
Yeah, because as much as I would love to see some of you guys in costume there, it's kind of just hey, just come be a fan. We'll put on the show this time. We'll just come, relax.
Well, we had a blast. We did it after the Science Factory, and we had a blast last time. We'll have to get you, like I said, you got to get in. You got to get signed up as a cadet. I know you got a million things on your plate, but then you just come to an armor party. Like I said, just take your time. Give yourself 5 years to build a costume, whatever, and just kind of chill and get to meet the guys. And it's funny. It's like Missy probably knows more about a Vader costume than me because she's squired for almost 10 years.
There you go.
When you see your wife reaching up under parts of people's armor and adjusting it, you know, well, she's just doing what she's supposed to be doing.
There you go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so, well, you know, at Stormtrooper, I can't see that much anyway. So, my wife knows at least who. You know, when I first started trooping, she had to be careful that she didn't go talk to the wrong Stormtrooper. So now she's been doing it long enough. She knows, like, I got a weird black mark on my helmet. I think I banged up against the door or something like that. So she knows I have that mark. But yeah, you got to be careful. You don't want to like start talking bad, trashing about someone, and they realize, oh crap, that's the wrong Stormtrooper. Yeah.
Maybe you didn't bang your head. Maybe she marked you with a sharp. She would.
Well, the first time I wore my TK before I was a member, I just got it assembled, and I was doing a test run for Halloween, and Zoe was 4, maybe 5, something like that. She ran a wagon into it. I still have that red mark, and on the one inside the leg, I can't. When I took my pictures for submission, I just slowly turned my leg so they couldn't see that red mark.
Oh man.
But yeah, my armor's pretty beat up. It's
same. I gotta cut a lot of return edges off of mine because I got a lot of cracks in my joints.
So I don't have any cracks. The FX armor is twice as thick as yours.
I got cracks. Also my body's changed size like 3 or 4 times since I've owned the armor, so I've both been exploding out of it and too small for it at any given point. I haven't found a happy medium yet.
My ab plate, I can look, if I can fit my soundboard on my ab plate, then I know I'm overweight because it spreads out as my stomach gets bigger. So, you know, that's the sign of when you can't fit in your armor in a while. That's like Dan, the guy who does C-3PO. He must have to, like, because his tolerances are probably like a fraction of an inch.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's worth the admission to the Academy, just seeing Dan suit up.
True. I've seen.
Oh yeah.
Because you've met Dan. Dan was at your event.
Yeah, Dan's a cool guy.
Yeah.
I like Dan a lot.
And to see him suit up, like, that's commitment. Because he's at the mercy of us. Because once he's bolted in,
push him around, do whatever. He can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Not saying to do that.
But I don't think I could do that. I'm kind of like slightly claustrophobic, and like a helmet's fine, but like that has to be like right against your face. I don't know if I could do that.
Well, and the worst is he can't even get his hands up to take it off if he wanted to, because there's 3 bolts that bolt it shut.
Oh.
Like there's the neck bolts, they actually screw in, and then the little antenna in the front that screws in and holds the face in. Oh. So and then with his arms on, he can't lift his arms much above where his elbows are. So.
Yeah. No.
But I every time I troop with him, I just stand myself somewhere so I can watch people interact with him. Like at Aaron Scare, I stood straight across so I could just watch the kids getting their pictures taken with R2 and 3PO. I just had a blast. Now Missy, she's a good C-3PO person too. She did 6 hours with him at Aaron Scare.
Oh wow.
Because he just took he did it all day and just took 20-minute breaks here and there. His break meant they pulled his mask off and fed him a soda through the straw. That's all he did. So, but he's good. That's good people.
He is a fantastic C-3PO. Honestly, the best one I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's committed too. Oh, he's the one that sculpted Ketsu's helmet for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he sculpted the. Now I messed it up because I used clay with silicone or with sulfur, and I didn't know. So, but he did the initial sculpt for me because I was trying everything. I just couldn't get it. It just looked like I don't know what it looked like. It didn't look like Ketsu when I was doing it. So here, let's go through our events real quick. So, Kaden, see if you remember, if you scroll down on the notes, you'll see all these wonderful things you could do on your days off. So,
awesome!
Like April 2nd, that's this Monday coming. We have the Children's Miracle Network. That's a weekday one, which is pretty rare, but we're off. And then there is a assembly during the day on Friday the 6th, which I think they're having a little hard time getting people. So if you are listening to this and it's not quite April 6th, check the boards and sign up. Weekday ones are tough. People have to take off work.
Bless you.
And then
I think.
Yeah. And then Saturday the 7th is a 5K run. And the 8th in Philadelphia is the Autism Awareness Day. And then my favorite, I shouldn't say that now that I'm the XO, but it is one of my favorite. My daughters love it. Is Steel City Con the 13th through the 15th. That's out That's out in Monroeville. It's like almost
out
like
here. Pittsburgh, for those who don't know where Monroeville
right,
is.
and it's like a legacy event. So it's actually our neighboring Garrison. It's in their territory, but
Starkiller Garrison.
Starkiller, but they were happy enough to just let us keep it since it's like means a lot to a lot of our guys. So it's a good event. It's kind of like it's almost like you're trapped there in a good way because the hotel is right next to the event, and we just hang there the whole weekend. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It'll be my first year going to Steel City Con, but also I'm now realizing it'll be my first con in like 4 or 5 years now. I haven't been to a convention in quite some time. I'm now realizing, and I'm glad that I'm finally going to get back into it.
Yeah, there's
That's one I want to get out to.
Yeah, I think you would like it. I'm going to talk to the guy who runs it about podcast table and possibly podcast panel. I just hit him up for it every once in a while for Zoe's podcast. But I guess now I'm a podcaster too. So
yeah, there you go.
So
you guys totally come out to when we're at PopCon next year. I guess I'm seeing a panel.
Yeah.
Like a podcaster panel, and it's going to be all Star Wars podcasters. And I'm trying to just get everybody to come.
Yeah, Zoe will go. I mean, it's funny when I'm asking podcasting advice from my 16-year-old daughter who's doing podcasts for almost 3 years. You know what I mean? But yeah, so then we have. Let me see. I'm just going since I'm closer to the screen. We're not set up for this. We have to reconfigure our thinking when we do guests, but we're learning. Yeah, we have Autism Walk, which Autism Expo on the 14th of April. We have the Bucks County Free Library on the 14th. If anyone's never been to one of our Star Wars library events, they're pretty cool. We do Star Wars trivia and hand out little prizes, tons of pictures. It's really nice because a lot of times it's just a lot of little kids that maybe don't get to a convention or something like that. And then we have For Pete's Sakes Walk on the 15th, and then there's an Enola Walk for MS in Enola, PA. Then the 21st is Brickfest. Have you ever been to Brickfest?
I have not. I've been told it's quite a good time.
Yeah, I would recommend any of the troops that you see in Oaks, PA. And Caden, I would recommend this if you just need a day trip and want to get away. Oaks, PA, their convention center is humongous. And no matter what they put in there, because it's so big and so spacious, sometimes you go to cons and you don't get the look because if you stop for a second, you stop all the flow. Mm-hmm. And the Oaks set is so big.
Oh.
So
that's awesome. That's what I did like about New York Comic Con. Yeah. That was not my kind of con, man. It's supposed to be like one of the best ones, but it was just way too many people. Like, I don't know. I don't want people breathing my air all the time. So
yeah, and there's been an influx in cons in the last couple of years. Like they've become, a little more like you're not getting beat up for going to one.
That's the New York Comic Con's the last one that I've been to, I think, and I did that for a couple of years in a row. But one of my main costumes I did there was like Hawkeye, so I didn't have a lot of stuff. I don't know if I could do that in TK armor. There's too much sticking off you there. You're bumping into way too many people. For that, I prefer a more subdued, more modest costume that allows you freedom of movement and
right.
And a lot of other people. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of those big cons too. They've kind of pushed a lot of the costume groups out because there's so little. Not in a bad way. I'm not like knocking them all, but they don't really have space for the costume groups as much as they used to because they don't have the real estate for it.
Yeah, I was there on a Friday. I saw one Boba Fett. That was it.
Marty was there. Marty and Dan were there. I think Marty was there with Chewie. Yeah.
I must not have caught him.
They're down at Awesome Con today, and I did. Old Line Garrison said that they're at Awesome Con this weekend. That's our Maryland Garrison. My girls had the choice of they wanted to go to a con. Their choice was Awesome Con or Steel City, and they chose Steel City, which is fine. I like Steel City too, but Awesome Con had John Boyega was going to be there.
And was going to be like he's
still there. He's still yeah. Well, so John Boyega. Someone asked Zoe to submit questions for an interview with him. a bunch of podcasters got to interview him, but they didn't use her questions. But she got a recording of the. I just haven't put it on a podcast yet. I'm gonna steal it and put it on this one.
Oh, cool.
No. So anyway, so we got Oaks Bricks Fest is Sunday the 21st, Saturday 21st, and Sunday the 22nd. Again, if you're a trooper, I would definitely recommend that, and if you're not a trooper, I would still recommend that. At Emmaus, we have Spencer's Heroes Vendor and Craft Show on the 21st. Tuesday, we have the Manufacturers Association, Tuesday the 24th. I think the guys have trooped that. I've never been able to because it's a weekday, but they say it's a fun troop.
That's in York.
Yeah, York, PA. And then the 28th is Pottstown Bark for Life. Cancer Walk with Dogs, I would assume. Bark for Life, unless it's trees.
Yeah, I was going to say a tree-based event sounds a lot less
Definitely.
well-attended.
And then we come up to May 4th. And I only included that because that's the big weekend.
Yeah.
So, the May the 4th, there's Swarthmore, PA, we have an event. Bethel, PA. Lancaster, we have the Barnstormers. Caden, you're going to be there at the Barnstormers, right?
Actually, I'm actually going to be at Farboco that day.
Oh.
To go, but after thinking about it, I don't think I'm going to be able to actually raise a ton of money there, just because I don't think I'll be able to take donations there.
Oh, okay.
So I'm definitely going to be there next year, when just to have more stuff like ready for all of that. But with James opening Farboco here this week, and that'll be his grand opening, May the 4th.
Oh, okay.
Kind of got to go there. You know what I mean? Like that's our not kind of gotta like I want to go over there, but we are in the ballpark of going to the ballpark next year.
Okay. And then we have.
See what you did there.
Yeah. We have the what? How do you say that? Music PA.
It looks like Music PA.
Music PA. There's Star Wars Night. Is that a Rail Raiders?
Rail Riders.
I'm sorry. Rail Rider. Is that a
skate park?
Sounds like slot cars.
Yeah, that's what, I don't know.
That's probably the furthest thing from what it could possibly be, but.
And then Free Comic Book Day. This is partially kind of how I met Caden, in the sense that we left a bunch of cards at the comic book store, Zoe's Cards, and from Free Comic Book Day. So, yeah, we'll be at Lancaster. We're all over. We're at we're at Bellefonte.
I think I'm going to be the Mechanicsburg one that day.
York, Lancaster, Oxford, Scranton, and Bethlehem. Well, what I'd like to do next year for Free Comic Book Day is stagger it, so we can almost do like a crawl, do a comic book crawl. So some of us, wouldn't that be cool to troop like 4 comic? It'd just be kind of like we could do a patch or do a T-shirt run that I did 4 events in a comic book, just to get more comic book shops to have more of us there. Caden, were you there when when all of our guys were there? You weren't there when the Wampa was there and Chewy and all that?
I wasn't, man. I'm definitely going to get out soon to see all that, though.
Yeah. But the Free Comic Book Day is fun. Joe's always good to us, but we have to dress upstairs, which I'm pretty good with stairs in my TK, but some of those guys' stairs aren't their friend.
Yeah.
That's where Rebel Cause was born, man.
Yeah.
Upstairs was the first event.
Nice. Yeah, well, Joe's always been supportive of everything. Joe supports the libraries and stuff with the Free Comic Book Day of Lancaster. He helps with all of that stuff, so that's pretty cool. And then the wrap up.
I'll definitely be there.
The wrap up that weekend, there's the Allentown, PA has Force for a Cure, and Plymouth Meeting, PA has Legoland Star Wars Day. There's a Legoland in Plymouth Meeting?
I guess. I did not know. If there is, it must be new.
Yeah, okay.
Newer.
So apparently.
Or smaller.
Yeah, so.
I think it's either the 4th or 5th is Tyler's wedding, too.
Oh, right. Is he having Star Wars characters there?
I don't know. I don't think so, because I thought he was doing the, he incorporated it into the proposal, so that he could get away with not doing it for the wedding itself.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, because he was proposed to on the Force Awakens night.
Yeah, Last Jedi.
Or Last Jedi.
Right. Yeah. He did the proposing. He wasn't proposed to.
Right.
In the theater that was cell block 2187.
Yeah, that's cool.
I enjoyed that. It was smart. I might steal that.
I asked my wife, was Amazing Spider-Man 289. That's where Peter Parker asked. So, that was a long time ago. That was during the dark times. You couldn't find any Star Wars stuff. So, I only put a couple things up for mission reports. I was just wondering, you were at the Millersville Odyssey of the Mind?
I was at Odyssey of the Mind for like half an hour, enough to help people who needed it get suited up. I don't actually think I was included in the mission report.
I wasn't either.
I was there so short. You weren't officially there, though.
No, I wore my Han jacket just to freak kids out. My only reason I included that, I was sitting in the gym, Zoe was competing in the Odyssey of the Mind, and I wore my Han jacket, and Craig stopped by in his Vader and said hi. It was talking. This girl, this like teenage girl, came up. She said, "Mister, do you realize you look like Han Solo, and you were just talking to Darth Vader?" And not thinking, I said, "Well, Chewie's my friend." I said, "These guys are my friend. My friend up there is Chewie." Not thinking I was talking Marty's my friend, so it even looked more like Han Solo just said his friend Chewie's up on the so.
But no, I had to go. I was gonna troop that the whole time, but like last minute, I got called. I had to go over and work in the city for the I had to go do real life work to for the Lancaster Roots and Blues. So I was doing sound over at Telus 360. Good weekend, a lot of bands.
Well, that's I mean, and then this goes back to trying to get Kaden to join us here. That is the kind of the cool thing is though, because we are a costuming group, and we're technically a professional costuming group, but sometimes people equate that with getting paid. But a lot of the people think we get paid. Like, if you go, like, especially when you squire, you hear people talking. Like, if you're just standing there, like, making sure no one trips Vader or something, and you hear the people talking, and they're like, oh, Lucasfilm must have spent a lot of money this and this. You know what I mean? It's just funny how well accepted our costumes are. So.
That's awesome.
So, then we normally do, but we had you on, Kaden, so we won't make it overly long, but we usually do a closer look at the CRL. So I put a hyperlink in the notes. I don't know if you saw it. But it takes to the Biker Scout.
Oh, that's a beat-up Biker Scout.
Huh?
That's a beat-up Biker Scout.
I know. Well, the Biker Scouts are one of those ones, they have to have weathering. They have to have... So, if you click on it, it takes you to Biker Scout. And I made a chart, I think, for the last one about the Vader. Did you see the chart I made?
Yeah, I did see the chart.
Did you see that, Kaden? I put on Carida Cast. I made a chart of all the different Vader helmets. Because people think there's So, if you go back on the... Carida Cast, maybe I'll put it on our webpage too. I gotta get on that too. But if you look on the Biker Scout, a lot of people like the Biker Scout because they can sit down, and their helmet is relatively easy. I think the hardest part for the Biker Scout is that, like the diaper or whatever it's called.
That's a hard one to find because it's the cummerbund. It's a very specific piece to have sewn together, and you usually it's not something you can just like find.
Right.
You gotta have somebody make it because then it's also gotta be made to your size too.
And there's some good, like I know Stacy in our Garrison sews. I don't know if she sews Biker Scout ones, but I know there's a couple of people's wives who sew them. There's a girl down in West Virginia that's actually doing some sewing for Zoe's new Sabine. But she does Biker Scout stuff. So, but I would recommend anyone. And the Biker Scout tends to be someone who saw the Return of the Jedi first. Like, if you look at people like my age in that age bracket, you can tell which movie they saw first by which costume they did. You know, like, most of the older guys are doing, like, Vader or TKs first. And then you have those guys that hit Empire. And there are very few people that do Empire TKs, but there's some because they like the difference of the Empire TK or the Snow Trooper. But then a lot of the younger guys, like, that probably like Caden's dad's age and maybe a little younger, they tend to go towards the Biker Scouts and the Return of the Jedi stuff. That's just what I noticed. I could be totally wrong.
The most appealing thing to me about the Biker Scout is the way the helmet works. If you've built the helmet, I know some people build them differently, but you can lift up the front plate or whatever and have it be on a hinge. With like, I know some people have some like Velcro strips that they just snap it onto, and I would like that ability because that's the freedom of being able to just lift it up and like take a drink of water or something, or like talk to somebody more clearly than through the helmet, but then also the freedom to put the helmet back down and go back to being the anonymous character. Right. So that appeals to me.
That would probably be my second choice of the original trilogy movies. Armor would be a Biker Scout. I helped Andy with his Snow Trooper this weekend. He came for photos.
I've had conversations with my brother in the past. I've sort of just asked him in passing, and I guess he takes it to heart more than I thought he was, but he sees how awesome, being a TK is for me, and he's sort of thought on his own about what he would want to do to have that kind of caliber costume, and I think he's been leaning towards Biker Scout. He likes the way it looks. I think that's because he's a younger guy too. Yeah. So like, whereas when I really loved the look of the regular Stormtroopers, he came into it, and at the more, I guess, the same time, even though I guess we weren't really watching them as they came out, that's just sort of when he got into it.
Right.
And so he's attracted to that design too, and he's also attracted to the ability to sit down. He's seen me not be able to move.
Yeah, these guys always sit down and rub it in. We get pictures taken, they're like, oh, we'll sit down. How about you, Kaden? If you had to pick a white armor, which would you want to do?
Oh, man. Well, I always gravitate towards the classic, TK.
Uh-huh.
But you know what, man? I really like the Force Awakens, like the new Stormtroopers.
I love that armor until I watch those guys put it on. I never complain about putting my TK on until you watch those guys put that stuff on.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's cool. But it has to be super fitted to you. Like, and the guys who take the time, like Wally looks comfortable in his. He's in our Garrison. He used to be our GML. You watch Wally and he looks comfortable, but I've seen other guys, like, you know how Finn in the movie, he looks like it wasn't fitted to him right? In the movie,
he was every time he was in the armor, he was wicked sweaty too. So right. I'd argue that anybody that sweaty can't possibly be comfortable, no matter what they're wearing.
But I felt, you know how your TK. I just know sometimes if you're not careful how you're wearing it, there's the armor rides up and it stops your neck movement.
Yeah.
And then it's like really, I'm showing my hands moving and no one can see it. It seems like that's what it seemed like when Finn. I felt like he was just tense. When he was like looking around when his friend got shot, like the helmet wasn't fitting him right,
Well, that was also the character.
Well, yeah,
you got to take it with a grain of salt. That was the character.
Yeah, but
he actually was pretty tense watching his friends dying while also simultaneously not wanting to kill innocent civilians. I'd be pretty tense too.
And John's flamethrower trooper.
Oh, that looks so good. But if
I saw that.
Yeah, he built that. He had a really good thread about building that. He had to buy those plastic things that slide over the cement poles at like convenience stores.
Uh-huh.
That's what he made the tanks out of.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
He put a lot of time in that.
He calls it
Sparky. Yeah, that's a good costume. Yeah, that front piece I think on those is magnetic. Most of the guys they just have earth magnets.
Yeah.
And it just snaps in front. On. Yeah, I like the pilots too. I do like the Force Awakens pilots. Like, if I was going to do a pilot, I'd probably do that.
They're all just a bit more sleek. That's really all it is.
Yeah, I'm still a TK old school. I have Sand Trooper still. I probably Sand Trooper is still my...
You totally would be that.
I know. If I just put too many hooks and... I'll get it... One of these days I'm going to get it done. Everyone's going to be surprised. They're just going to be like, what? I'm not going to tell anyone. I'm not going to tell Marty. I'm just going to submit it, and see what they say. But...
I think if you stop saying you're gonna get it done
someday,
if you just like don't talk about it anymore, one of these days you'll just accidentally finish it.
My office and my garage are just like ADD playground. Like everywhere I look, I just get sidetracked. But that's our Biker Scout. We didn't really go over the Biker Scout much because we had Kaden on here, but we'll put some more stuff up. We're new to this, so they can write us in. I will take complaint email. Just so we have email to read.
Anything. Just send us.
Send us a bad emoji. I'm fine with that. But so we the whole show we've been talking about the academy, trying to get people to join. It's mainly I think so. Kaden, now you have to tell us your innermost thoughts. What makes you hesitate to join, and what makes you want to join? So that's like two questions, very loaded that might not even make sense.
Maybe start with why he would want to join.
Okay.
Start with why you'd want to join.
Yeah, start
because I think it's easier to consider the appealing aspect than it would be to, then stop yourself.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, the reason I want to join is because talking to Mike a lot, obviously. It just seems like a great time to go out in costume like that. And despite being a rebel myself, the bad guys do have the cool costumes. Can't deny that. And it just, it's another great way to give back, really, go out there for the kids and the adults too, really. And just have a great time. And to segue into, I guess, why I'm a bit not hesitant, but I mean, I do run a charity.
Right.
So
Oh, right.
most of my time as of right now is going into that. But I hope to, I started a new job recently where I'm, on the morning shift. So instead of, where I used to work at a bar and restaurant, being there till, midnight, 2 a.m., I do have a lot more free time now. So, that's really my only hesitation. And I guess money, but,
That's always
that's not that's not really a big issue. You know what I mean? I don't have kids or anything like that. So,
Yeah, well. No, and you know what? That's like good to be honest, because I think time is what scares people even more than anything. And I'm just, I mean, it takes me forever to get stuff done. So but so to be, I think, at least for me, there's those bad days at work, and there's those bad days where you're like, oh, I don't really feel like trooping today. And then when you get that right kid that just wants a picture with you, or you realize you're hot and sweaty, but you see these little kids, they don't care who you are, they just want a picture with you.
Or the kid, I like the kid who says nothing but just comes straight up to you and just immediate hug. They don't even stop to look at you. They're not in awe or anything. They're just like, oh, hug.
Yeah, and I think I said it on this podcast or maybe someone else's. It was 3 or 4 years ago. We were doing a school, and they had us changing in like a 4th or 5th grade room, and it was a Friday night. I had a bad day at work, teaching, and I really didn't feel like doing it, but I committed to it, so I drove down. We suited up, and before we went out, I remember I could see my reflection in the glass of the door, and I saw myself in a TK suit. I had the beard at the time, and I was like, and I just looked at myself, and I was like, man, I wish, like, 5th or 6th grade Mike would have known this is what I'd be doing. It would have made, you know what I mean, so many things so much better in life. Just knowing that someday I'm gonna wear stormtrooper armor, and I wrote a piece on our Carida boards about like heroes, and not diminishing anyone being a hero, like the real ones that go out and fight and all that. But every one of our troopers are a hero in one way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. You're either a hero to a kid that needs it, you're a hero to your fellow people that troop with you, you might be a hero to yourself just because you're having a bad day at work. It might just make you feel better. Hero to your kids because you're, there's more rewarding out of it than I can imagine. So I know for me, I get defensive on when I hear people like bashing costume groups, but I know for us, at least Garrison Carida, we do our best to make it a good time for everybody.
And I feel like it's such a great group for camaraderie as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would say most of my friends have come out of that. Most of the guys that my girls have grown up with have come out of that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have met you if it wasn't for it. Really, because Zoe would have never been in costume. Zoe would have probably never podcast, and it all come from that.
By the way, speaking of Zoe, I really need to get her onto my dad's movie.
Yeah,
I forgot to. We'd love her to be a PA on the film, just to get her foot in the door and all that.
Tell me what you need, because she's ready to go.
All right, man. Yeah, he should be going into production here fairly soon, within the next month or so. I'll plug it for him. StrayEmberMovie.com.
Yeah,
definitely check it.
Yeah, I would recommend support a diehard Star Wars fan and check out. It's really cool.
And it's a great story with a really strong female main character. And it's going to be awesome. And I would love to see Zoe there doing something she loves as well.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. So, yeah, well, I guess we have Know Your Neighbors. So we have, in our garrison, we're Eastern PA. Western PA is, and I always say this wrong, I got corrected in our one letter we got, but it's Star Killer Garrison. So their PR person, I sent emails out to all the PR people in all the garrisons, and I keep saying this, but one of these podcasts, we're just going to have a section where we list all the people that are the officers of the different garrisons, because they work, pretty hard behind the scenes to keep it running. But the Starkiller Garrison, almost said base. Starkiller Garrison, she sent me a note, and she said, since Starkiller Garrison's formation in September, we have done 52 Starkiller Garrison events, and 14 Ghost-based events. Ghost-based is the Rebels. The Rebels, and I think they run all of PA.
They're all of PA.
And Delaware. Yes. Aren't they Delaware too?
They might still. I don't know. I just know that they're still. They haven't split into half of PA like the.
Right. Yeah, they have a lot less. I mean, it seems like the Rebel Legion has always been less numbers. I think they just have less choice of costumes, to be totally honest with you.
Also true.
Anyway, and the cloth costumes, as much as people don't realize, that's way more expensive than the armor. Unless you know how to sew. We just recently did. Okay, this is. I'm sorry. Can we continue this? Yes, we just recently did an event to help raise money for Down Syndrome Association of Pittsburgh, and on April 6th through 8th, we are doing TECO 2008.
TECO 2018.
Is that a con?
That is an anime convention, which they're saying gets over 7,000 people. But so that's going to be an anime convention, but I guess they're also doing Star Wars in that. And
they're going to do Blaster Trooper. We've been invited to a few of those cons, I think, before. But they're doing a Blaster Trooper to help raise money for Make-A-Wish. So those of you that don't know what Blaster Trooper is, that's when you get to shoot stormtroopers with Nerf guns. And you donate money.
Usually it's the suction cup darts, so that the kids can get a laugh out of the cup getting stuck to a stormtrooper's lens or right on the chest or something like that.
Yes. Someone shot Safi right in the eye hole of her Tuscan, like right in the eye stalk. I mean, she has screens in it, so it didn't hurt her eyes, but I thought that was pretty funny.
All right. Usually the donations are based pay $10 for 10 darts or something like that. I don't know if that's the. I'm not.
The price varies on the and that's we should bring up too. Kaden runs a charity, and there's tons of probably all kind of stuff you got to go through for charity work. What the 501st does is we don't handle any money, so normally they'll get a rep from that charity that actually collects the money, because that's one of the things that kind of enticed me about the 501st is I didn't want to be involved with handling any money,
finance or something like that.
The nice thing is that with me being the founder, it's all kind of just me. So I found this partner in Water Street, and that's just where our money goes. You know what I mean? There might be very minimal amounts of money spent on helping us get the next event going, but everything else is directly to Water Street.
Right, and that's why I know my family likes to help you out, and you guys do great work for, Water Street. I mean, the homeless, it's just a problem, and Water Street needs everything they can get, because it's one of those things that's easily forgotten in our daily lives. So
yeah, absolutely. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
So we do have one listener reply, and this is from Craig. Craig, he's one of our Vaders. So he corrected me on some of my Vader stuff, and we admitted we weren't Vader experts. I think we did. Did we forget to say that too?
I thought we said at the beginning of everything that we're not experts in anything.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, we're just two TKs. We're the two guys that are standing when Obi-Wan makes that little sound, and they turn around and he walks right by him. That's us too. That's who we should be.
That's the extent of our knowledge.
Yes, that's us.
Any subject. That's us.
Yeah. What was that? And then we start talking about speeders. Okay, so here's his letter. I'm just happy we got a letter. Really, it says, on your last Carida Cast, which was great, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you. It had mentioned that Chris does Revenge of the Sith Vader, but he actually does Return of the Jedi. So, Kaden, you're listening. This is what we deal with. The stormtroopers. We have to know which Vader costume it is. And it says, I believe the only Carida with Revenge of the Sith. I wish he would write that out. I know it when I Revenge of the Sith Vader is Marty and Frank, which Wally had one and Brian has one in the works. Okay, so as far as we know, Marty and Frank have the only Revenge of the Sith, which I knew Marty did, Yeah, I guess I knew Frank did too. But I was thinking Chris did, but I guess I just never looked at his...
That big difference being, like in the last episode, we talked about the black and gray versus all black.
Yes.
Revenge of the Sith is all black.
Right.
As opposed to the original trilogy, which had the black and gray alternating surfaces.
Right. And if you want to know more about Vader, like if you go to the CreedCast Facebook feed, I made a little chart and took the CRLs just in the helmets. Or I think just the mask. I don't even think I touched the helmets. I just did the mask so you could see the difference. And it's surprising how different all those masks are. Like, I would just think, just from a prop maker, you'd just like, well, give me what you used in 77. So,
yeah. Well, I've always heard that Vader's helmet was super unsymmetrical.
Oh, yeah.
Until 3.
yeah. Like, I have an Empire Strikes Back one, which you have to come see sometime. And it's not, and I never realized it was that gray and black checkered pattern. Because we didn't have high def back then. You know.
Oh, really?
Back in the day, we just had VHS, and before that, we had when it came on TV.
Well, it wasn't that back in the day because I had VHS.
Oh yeah, but VHS hung around a little longer than it should have. I do remember it was still around when Zoe was born, but it died a really slow death, that VHS.
Rest in peace, Blockbuster.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, so and he says, and you refer to Starkiller Garrison as Starkiller Base. I don't think I'm trying to critique. I just want to respect the good members of the group. So I was corrected for calling it. But you also have to remember, I still call the Force Awakens. I mean, I still call The Last Jedi The Force Awakens. So maybe that's just me. Maybe that just means I'm old.
We will from now on be vigilant to refer to the Garrisons as what their names actually are.
Right.
Also, we're human and dumb, so.
Yeah, right. We're trying. So I'm very sorry for Starkiller Garrison that I called you Starkiller
You were
Base.
close. You'll get it.
Okay. And then it says, previously I asked about having guests on your show, but as you mentioned,
we're not having any guests.
Yeah, we're
telling you right now. That's never going to be a thing that we're.
Yeah, Caden, we're not going to have any more guests. I'm sorry, Caden.
That's it.
Yeah.
Did I ruin it?
Well, I think our audio hookup almost ruined it, but then we figured that out. So, and Zoe's podcasting tomorrow, so now I got to figure out how to put it all back together. Okay, it said, let's see, not a problem. It says, give me a date and topics and you'd like to cover, and I'll make it happen, bro. Always enjoy your podcast. Keep up the good work. So,
thanks, bro.
Oops, and I almost ripped all our stuff out again. All right, yeah. So there's another member that we might have on, but we figured Caden would be a good one because then hopefully, like in a couple months, we'll ask him how your first day in the academy went.
There you go, man.
No pressure.
Yeah.
No pressure.
No, but
I'll come back on, like, where are they now episode.
Yeah. No, but think about the nice like blog you could write of starting out as this young man that was forced into the academy by 2 stormtroopers and
exactly.
That sounds like the premise of Solo.
Yeah, see?
And now we've come full circle. Thank you, everybody.
It's Kaden, a Star Wars story.
Exactly.
So
you'll hear from me later, and I'll be like, yeah, I was in the Imperial Academy, but now I'm in Rebel Legion.
Yeah.
Yeah, turns out you didn't actually want to build an Imperial costume.
You just wanted to undermine us from the. You just wanted to get that Stormtrooper belt for the Han Solo after Empire thing.
Yeah, I was just a rebel spy
the
whole time.
So I guess it's time to say goodbye. My goodness, this is probably our longest podcast ever.
Yeah, we're up to what, hour and 15? Something like that. Hour and 15 and 30 seconds once I add the bumper.
Oh, okay, good. Well, at least, yeah. So we'll say our goodbyes. Then, Caden, you can end up with where everyone can find you. But you can find us at CaridaCast.com. You can find us on Facebook. And you can email Colin at Colin with 1 L at CaridaCast.com. And you can email me at Mike at CaridaCast.com. Check us out on iTunes, SoundCloud.
Google? Are we on Google Play?
We are on Google Play now, too.
Nice.
And
I don't use it, but that's awesome that we're on it.
You know what? We had the hardest time getting it to work because I just had to flip one little switch to put it in episodic thing on SoundCloud, and I was like calling them, and so I did figure it out. And now if I ever do a third podcast, I'm sure I'll forget how to turn that on.
No, you'll get it right. First try.
And then, so Caden, where can we find you?
First off, I want to thank you guys for having me on. I had a great time talking to you both. And you can find Rebel Cause at Rebel Cause Lancaster on Facebook and Instagram under that same name. You can find our podcast, Rebel Chatter, which is the official podcast of Rebel Cause, on rebelchatter.com and on iTunes and all the other great podcast listening apps out there in the galaxy. And you can, of course, find us on the Brick City Blockade Podcast Network. And on April 22nd, you will find us live at Farboco.
Awesome. All right. Well, may the force be with you.
Yeah.